Flying, floating through space. Perhaps it's a desire we all have. For the top Rogallo flyers, it's not enough just to fly freely. They also have to have an urge to pit themselves against each other. Once every 2 years, they get the opportunity to compete at the very highest level.
– 150 kilometers northwest of Barcelona, in the middle of the Sierra del Mosec range, the little town of Ager has become the center for the 10th Rogalists World Championship. In the hot sunny weather, you won't see a living soul in the streets, but on the hill beyond, even during siesta time, things are pretty lively. At the beginning of July, there are ideal conditions in this region for flying hang gliders. The starting line, at 1,550 meters above sea level, saw 170 pilots from 36 countries from every continent in the world. Setting up the craft is a moment's work for the pilots, but Tomáš Suchánek, the Czech representative and world champion twice over, is going about it a little differently. With detailed millimeter adjustments, he is putting the final touches to the flying qualities of his glider. Everybody is ready to show their abilities over the next 14 days. The quality of the glider, the wind conditions, theoretical knowledge, physical prowess, and a sense for making the right decision. All of these are factors that make for victory.
The task for today will be an elapsed time task. That means that we will take the takeoff time of each pilot. There is no start. It will be elapsed time.
The organizers and the pilot's representatives choose the task for a given day according to the current meteorological conditions. The theoretical preparation for accomplishing a discipline and flying to a goal 100 or 150 kilometers away is the first step to success. Colleagues from the Czech team are glad to hear Tomáš Suchánek's opinion.
Ale letíme teda normálně přes to plato a sem, a můžeš taky jít tudy, takhle na tenhle zadní kopec. Jo. Který rotace možná by byl lepší. Jo. Je tam. Po zadání úkolu
After a task is set, you have to think through how a route can be flown with regard to the conditions. The conditions are always a little different from one day to the next. The wind can blow from a different direction, or the rising winds can act differently. So it's good to think out in advance how to go about a task, to prepare coordinates for the turn points and enter them into the satellite navigation instrument I always fly with. Then you've got to wait for the right moment. Work out a few tactics at the start and then off you fly. And you fly it as fast as you can. Practice does not always have to agree with theory, because conditions on the route are always changing, and quite often they're very different to how I'd expected them. Then I have to make instant decisions based on whatever is happening around me, or how I see the rising winds are going to be for the rest of the route. Even though it's invisible, every rising current gives certain indications that it's there, or that it should be there. At the top of a rising current, there should be a cloud or a gallows that's already circling, and it's on these bases that I decide whether to fly in this direction or that direction.
No a podle toho já potom se rozhoduju, jestli teda poletím tím směrem nebo poletím jiným směrem.
When I can, I try to fly off in front of my opponents, so as to be faster. If I can't, then we cooperate in our own way. It's a kind of competitive cooperation. All of us try to fly faster, but maybe only one of us finds the rising convection current, so the other one goes back to it, and that's basically how it goes on throughout the race. We're cooperating and competing with each other at the same time. Cooperation between team pilots is taken as a matter of course. The most valuable information is above all on the final stretch, from a pilot who has landed successfully.
The wind in goal is best probably 15 k's, but it's like south-west-west up higher, so you can reach Soren up there.
The two rivals, Tomáš Suchánek and the Austrian representative Manfred Ruma, were neck and neck for the leadership throughout the championship. Whichever one of them was to make a mistake on the last day in the race or in the final glide-in would take second place.
závěrečný dokluz, to je vlastně let třeba o dílce 20 až 25 km.
The final glide-in is actually a flight of about 20 to 25 kilometers to the goal. And I try to do this glide-in as quickly as possible, so as not to lose a single second. That means I get information about the kind of wind and the conditions on the way. With the aid of my satellite navigation instrument, I can assess quite accurately what the wind around me is like, and consequently what the wind and conditions will be like on the way to the goal. Or I take up the right height with some in reserve, of course, and then all I do is breathe in, my heart pounds, and I head for the goal, and I hope that I'll fly into it.
Would you Paul Molly, if what's the goal bonus if I make the goal? How much is it? Is it just 2% or more?
Wind at goal, Tommy, is west, southwest, mostly west, still up to 10 mile an hour. Over.
A slight error in his calculation and Manfred Rummer loses all hope 50 meters from the goal line.
Hey Manfred!
Aj. Tak to prosím.
Tomáš Suchánek, the flying computer, flies in for another World Championship title, his third. Tomáš Suchánek, the most successful hang glider pilot in history.
Na Rogale jsem začal lítat asi v roce 1980.
I began flying Rogalos in 1980. I'd been into flying long before then, though. When I was about 5, I used to stick little model aircraft together, and then I started putting bigger ones together. When I was 14 or 15, I thought I should try it for real and get into the air, not just with these models. I tried it first at a flying club, but in the conditions prevailing in those days, flying was a dead loss. People in the clubs didn't fly, they just worked, and the opportunities for getting into the air were minimal. The only way open to me was to build my own Regalo and start flying. So I did just that in 1980. I got into it more by chance than anything, because of a friend. The first 2 or 3 years I didn't take it too seriously, and I was still doing a load of other things. But then I really fell for it. My first craft was called World Cup. It was a copy of the original, and I don't even know where it came from. At that time I was building with the usual hard aluminium tubes that were available to us. The covering was made of woven plastic, woven polypropylene, which was normally used on greenhouses. That aircraft flew. Well, it served its purpose it was designed for, but looking back on it today, I wouldn't even get into it.
Z mýho dnešního pohledu samozřejmě už bych asi na něj nevlez. Ty rogala vlastně za těch 15 let pokročily hodně dopředu. V současné době
Rogalos have come a long way in the last 15 years. I'd say that these days I'm at a fairly high technical level. The normal parameters that make for efficiency and the safety of the craft in the air are called the gliding safety ratio. Our gliding ratio is about 1 to 13. I'd say that Rogalos are very safe. The average Rogalo is stronger and more secure than the average airplane. Rogalos are proportioned for a 9 or 10 G+, and this cannot be said for many transport aircraft. Acrobatic aircraft are basically at the same sort of level. This means that flying in such craft is really something else. With a Rogalo, you can fly far, fast, high, and very safely. I first met Bill Moyse in the 1986 European Championships. My achievement on my homemade craft made quite an impression on him. So Bill made me an offer to fly gliders he made, and I accepted. I started flying in a Moyse glider in 1988. Moyse gliders are some of the oldest Rogalo products in the world. The company is managed by both Bill Moyse and Steve Moyse. Steve is the 1983 world champion, and he's the one who's responsible for glider development and production. He and I cooperate in an effort to produce the best possible Rogalo. Bill Moyse, his father, helps us with this a lot. Thanks to his great experience, he can always put in something extra. So that's how the craft come about, basically.
touhle cestou ty éra vznikají. Baví mě se dobře umístit, co nejlíp.
I enjoy getting a good position, the best position that I can. This is what underlies my style of flying in any race. When I fly an exercise that I haven't chosen myself, I try to fly it as quickly as possible. I must admit that I enjoy flying uncompetitive much more, because then I'm my own master and I can fly where I want, when I want and how I want. There's this freedom to flying through the space that I enjoy, which is perhaps the greatest attraction for me. When I fly at home in my own country, I can look at what is around me. I can compare the map with the reality. Actually, I never fly at home without a map.
V podstatě znám už celý Čechy, nemusím tam lítat s mapou a baví mě lítat do oblastí, kde jsem ještě nikdy nebyl.
I can get into an area I've never been to before and explore everything beneath me from the air. I can watch everything from a bird's eye point of view. One nice part of free flying is trying to beat records. The best place for that is Australia, where I spend the European winters. That's where I try to beat world records, and I've already succeeded a few times.
To je taková druhá cesta, kterou teďka se snažím trošku jít, snažit se překonat některé světové rekordy a některé už se mi podařily. Lítání mi dává prostě pocit svobody.
Flying gives me a sense of freedom, and it's one of my life's fulfillments. All over the world you can see rogalos. All over the world you can see gliders produced in the Moist Delta Gliders factory. The World Hang Gliding Championship, which takes place once every 2 years, is a crucial opportunity to check out and compare the quality of gliders. "167 pilots of 35 countries from all the continents in the world took part in the 1995 World Championships in Spain. Amongst the 10 leading manufacturers, the Mois Delta Gliders team was one of the strongest. 25% of the pilots participating in the World Championships came with a Mois glider. So 1 pilot in 4 was flying a glider made by this Australian company, a company with the longest tradition of producing gliders in the world. Who is behind these popular gliders? Bill Mois, the company founder, designer, pilot, organizer, a tireless enthusiast, an ever-present helper and friend. Bill Mois, the man with the richest experience in this field of flying. Bill Mois is a living legend wherever aircraft from his factory are flying. Steve Mois, another hang gliding legend, 1983 world champion, second in the 1985 World Championships, and third in the 1987 World Championships, holder of many titles from races all over the world. Steve Mois is presently in charge of the company's glider development and production. At the championships in Spain, he was able to check out the quality of the gliders in practice as an active pilot himself. Tomáš Suchánek is another of the company's celebrities. World champion in 1991 and 1993, he is currently the most successful pilot in the world. And he also takes part in the development and production of the new Mois Delta gliders. Tomáš Suchánek came to Spain to defend his world champion title, to confirm his prowess and the qualities of the extra-light glider. Over the 14 days of flying at the World Championships, Bill, Steve and Tomáš, together with the other pilots and ground staff, were determined to show that they are among the very best. Steve Mois. Stephen Clive Gilmore. Jeffrey Tulloch, Steve Blenkinsop, Drew Cooper, Tomáš Suchánek, Franz Hermann, Mark Schenk, Roger Strube, Martin Harry, Tony Marby, Christoph Abel, the Swiss representatives, Englishman Gordon Pigg and Michael Stevens, Rudolfo Gates from Mexico, Bob Bayer from Germany, and many more pilots make up one great family, the Mois Delta Glider Team. The Extra Light glider is the latest model from Mois team. It has very good gliding qualities, excellent climbing ability, and superb characteristics at top speed. Its ability readily and quickly to take advantage of rising currents is its greatest advantage. This glider is suitable for every type of flying in the conditions found in all countries throughout the world. The company's 30-year history, its theoretical knowledge and practical results guarantee the highest quality of this glider. All the top pilots from Mois Delta gliders fly the Extra Light. These gliders stood up excellently to the strongest competition. Out of the first 50 pilots, 15 were from Mois. Steve Blenkinsop finished 19th, Drew Cooper got 18th position, the talented Swiss pilot Roger Strube was 16th, the up-and-coming young star technical student Mark Schenk was 9th, and another Swiss contestant, Franz Hermann, finished 5th. Only a tactical error robbed Switzerland of the second team position. And the best news last of all. Tomáš Suchánek successfully defended his 1991 and 1993 titles and gained his third World Championship title.
Tomáš Suchánek confirmed that it's not by chance that he and the whole company have had so much success. Tomáš Suchánek and the moist glider again succeeded at the highest level. Anyone who flies in a moist glider flies in a world champion's aircraft. Anyone who flies in a moist glider flies in the most successful glider in history.